All right. Guess what's in the package? All right. So I need that. I just got to get one other little bit. All right. Tools. I think that's all I need for this. I'm going to just tilt my camera up just ever so slightly so it doesn't look like my head's getting chopped off. There we go. If you're wondering, I'm using an iPad for a camera. I'm just going to make sure comments are on. Perfect. All right. So, what do I have in the box? Well, it involves doing some stuff to this monster back here. I'm going to be upgrading the mounts on my toms. So in case you don't know, or if you haven't read the description, this is an early 1980s Pearl Export 9-piece double bass kit. And I got it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like 2021, 2022, something like that. For really, I honestly, I just traded a cheap Alesis Nitro electronic kit for it. Guy wanted an electronic kit that had mesh heads, so that's what I had. That's what I offered, and I was looking for an acoustic kit, and sure enough, it worked out. And I know people are going, "Yeah, those shells are horrible. Why don't you just spend some more money and get some better shells?" Like, because nobody makes these sizes anymore unless you spend like 10 grand on a custom kit. I like deep toms. I don't like deep bass drums. That's just how I roll. As I see comments come in, yeah, exactly, drum talk. So you're probably wondering, what upgrade am I going to do? Well, I got to open this stuff up. Hopefully everything is here. Drum talk and unboxing too, huh? Let's see what we got. Should be 4 of these bad boys in here. We're putting Optimounts on my mounted toms. Hopefully, it's going to work out okay. Hang on a minute. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just want to make sure. So I have one for the 10x8. I've got one for my 12x10, and then the 2 bigger ones are for the 13x11 and 14x12 packing slip. And we'll set that right over there. All right, so let's go ahead and open one of these up and let's check it out, see what we got. That'll go over there. And here's what we're putting on those guys. I said, these are Optimounts. And the cool thing about them is, let me get my drum key. Is they come in different sizes, and depending on your drum, you can adjust. You should be able to just a little more. There we go. Should be able to adjust the depth. There we go. So this should fit in there. But we'll see. This is my first time doing this. All right. So what's cool is on the back, that's all the instructions you get, but it's pretty, if you look at the pictures, it's pretty self explanatory. What happens is these guys sit underneath the rim. So the rim's going to go here, tension rod's going to thread through. So this is a suspension mount. Let me grab my 10-inch tom and I'll show you. I gotta move my snare mic. So if we look at this tom mount here, it's drilled right into the drum. So the drum's literally hanging off of it. What can happen is you lose a little bit of sustain depending on how the drum is tuned. You might also get some rattling, not just from the drum, but when you strike the drum, the rest of the hardware can vibrate. I'm actually getting that problem with the 12-inch and the 14-inch toms. So that's why I want to try these mounts and see if they're basically going to isolate the drum from the mount. That's the easiest way to explain it. So what I need to do is I basically just need to take the top head off. Let me move these so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I don't tune my toms very high at all. I don't like them. I like them tuned nice and low. I like them a little bit big. And honestly, with these heads, like coated on everything, it works for the majority of the kinds of music that I play. So I get more attack than I do sustain, but I still get plenty of sustain. All right. Oh yeah, that was loose right there. So this would have needed to be done anyway. So now on the inside of the, it's hard to see, but on the inside you can see, yeah, washer fell out. You can see what's going on. They're just bolted right in. And I'm surprised that these are even finger tight. Like these should be like really rock solid. But they're not. No worries, because I'm not using these anymore anyway. All right, so what I'm going to do is And I could tell these are old mounts because on some of the newer mounts, instead of having these individual washers, there's a whole metal plate that goes on. That gets tightened down instead of like, having them separate like that. But what I'm gonna do is just to keep all the hardware together. Just gonna thread these back on. And this shouldn't take a lot of time to put together. Okay, that's off. Yeah, what year is your kit? So it looks like particle board, but it's not. This is what Pearl calls like Acousticoat technology, which basically it's like a spray, that they put inside of it. I'm guessing to like try to cut down overtones and also to hide the fact that this isn't very, high end. This isn't exactly high end wood. I want to guess this is maybe like mahogany or something like that, juniper, a cheap wood. But here's the thing: I've never gotten a bad sound out of these drums, like at all. Um, you know, I just think they sound great. I mean, but here's the thing: if if your shells are in good shape, you've got the right heads, and you tune your kit right, you can make a cheap drum kit sound good. Yeah, 85. So yours are probably going to be a little bit after this kit. Um, so this is an early to mid 80s. And I know this because in the mid 80s they discontinued the wine red finish. And I believe that was around the time they introduced Ferrari red. And if you know Ferrari red, you know. Uh, but yeah, I guess all it does is just kind of, help with I guess it helps with a little bit of dampening, but it's also to kind of maybe hide the fact that the wood isn't exactly the greatest. But if you can see, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to risk having my head cut off and just kind of tilt this down so you can see what's going on. There we go. All right. So all I'm going to do is I have to take the top head off to get the old mount off. And then all I'm going to do is we're going to take out two of the lugs. Now it's also important to remember which is the bottom, which is the top. This is basically going to slide in kind of like this. And then all I'm going to do is just simply attach the bottom here. So you can see what it's going to do. Turn that over there so you can see. And actually, I'll go ahead and tune the bottom head. There we go. I'm going to slide this in a little bit. Let's see, am I in? Hard to tell. Oh yeah, I'm in. And sometimes it might take a little bit to get it started. Get it. See, ideally, I want to get this finger tight, but you can tell that this little grommet right here is kind of fighting me a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just kind of And yes, coated on the bottom. A lot of people might think that's a little unconventional, but works for me. I'll take it. All right, so now the other thing that might have to happen is I'm going to have to readjust the positioning on these toms because these particular mounts are not exactly going to line up with the old ones. So I'm probably going to hit the shell. But that basically just means I just got to move the kick drums back a little bit or move the rack, probably pull the rack forward a little bit, but not a really big deal. All right, now that that side's on, now we can get this done. So what I'm going to do is pull these two out. We're going to go ahead and kind of get things lined up. There we go. I'm going to get these ones started. And just get them finger tight. Because I know I'm going to have to tune these later. Okay. So that's just going to go like this. And then we'll get the other one in. Wow, so this isn't giving me as hard of a time as like getting these finger tight. This isn't giving me as hard of a time as the bottom ones are. There we go. So now I'm just going to finger tighten these. Head's already kind of stretched. I mean, it's, I don't know how old this head is. Probably a couple years old. So what I'm going to do is just do a quarter turn on each one. Now what I want to try to do is get the top and the bottom the same. Go, let me grab a stick. Just see what that sounds like. All right, put her back. Actually, before I do, forgot one very important thing. And that is, I want to get this adjusted. Pretty much as far out as I can get it. All right, now we'll lock it down. So this mount is anywhere between like a 7-inch and an 8-inch drum. There we go. Check the tuning. Time. Good. Now, put this back on. There. Much better. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to fix the positioning of it. Now the thing with these tube mounts, these 7/8-inch pearl mounts that I know a lot of you are familiar with, is they're notorious for not being able to get the positioning exactly right. But because I use a drum rack, I haven't really had any problems getting things, exactly where I want them. There we go. Nice. All right, now for the 12. Here's the 12. You know what? I'll get them all up because I got to reposition them anyway. And it's a 13. Is 14. All right, 12. So once again, top head has to come off. I don't mind doing this live because then you can see, you get a real-time idea of how long it really takes to do this upgrade. It's not really that long at all. Like you saw how quickly that one went on. All right, so these, actually that one's finger tight, that one's finger tight. What about this one? Do I need to? There we go. Sometimes I need to loosen these up a little bit and get it out. Now you're probably thinking, when you put these new mounts on, there's a big gaping hole, in the side of the drum. Like, how do you fix that? Well, I'm not going to worry about it because it, because between the old mount and doing the Optimount on that drum, I don't really notice that much of a difference in sound. And I actually was watching another video on YouTube, Shannon Forrest, who's Toto's drummer now, but he's a legendary Nashville, session guy, drummer and engineer. Watched a recent video of his where he upgraded an old Rogers kit. I think it was like his first drum kit. But he ended up using the Pearl R2 Air system, which is a much more expensive mount. But instead of the mount, just over on this section of the drum, the mount goes maybe about halfway down. And I commented and I said, well, do the old holes like make any difference at all as far as your sound? And he commented back, no, not much difference at all. As far as whether they're repaired or they're just left as is. But what do they look like? Well, I'm not worried about the look too much because I'm not really worried about the look too much because the new mounts are going to kind of cover them up anyway. So yeah, no, I'm not worried. I'm just looking at your comment. Yeah, no, I thought about that. Oh, what do I, cut a piece of wood, glue it, but then you've got to, cover it up with the exact wrap. Or what I could do is strip the wrap off, fill the holes, and then either put a new wrap on and refinish it. But it's like honestly more work than it's worth. I just want these things to sound good. And like I said, this is a much cheaper upgrade than say getting a whole new kit. And like I said at the beginning of the video, um, I can't afford a $10,000 custom drum set because that's the only way in this day and age to get a brand new kit with these sizes because nobody makes, you know, what we call power toms. Nobody makes those anymore. And all the bass drums, all the stock bass drums are 18 inches deep, which I absolutely cannot stand. I prefer 16 or less. I mean, honestly, if these were 14, I'd be even happier. Um, Honestly, I'd be okay with, 20 by 16 because I can still make those sound really good. And they're a little bit quieter and a little bit easier to record. But no, I do what I can with what I have. But this was like, I think each one of these mounts were between 75 and 190, I think. So for a kit like this, where you've got four mounted toms, um, you're talking like maybe 360, 370 with tax. So it's a much less expensive way to get a good sound out of this kit than say to get, a whole new kit. I mean, already this is going to sound, already I think this kit's going to sound, a million times better. All right. So here we go. There's the mount. I just got to make sure it's going to fit on here. And it is. I want to make sure it's also orientated correctly, and it is. Nice. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna oh, wait a minute. So brand new mount. Yet you can see, where's the camera? You can see this one's bent up a little bit. Well, I could send it back, but I'm gonna see if I can't just oh yeah, that's better. All right. And that's why I exercise, to be able to do stuff like that. Okay. This don't need, and this, nothing else in the box. So that can go right over there. So now we'll just do the same, kind of rinse and repeat like we did with the other one. And this is all the way out, so yeah, we should be good as far as I'm just going to tighten these up a little bit, like just get them loose, and then we'll tune, get the bottom head tuned. Those are on, those are good. Yeah, just gonna get the bottom head tuned. Good. Nice. Now we can get the we'll get the top one on. All right, I'm gonna pull these two out. And then I'm gonna get the rest of these in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lock this down. Then all right, get these on. So I want to say 15 minutes per drum, maybe even less than that, like 10. Just, I mean, I'd say the challenging part is like lining everything up. Actually, going to tune the bottom one down a little bit. All right, see what that is. A little bit of rattling, but that's this. There we go. Sweet. This will be the real test. We get it up here. Yeah, so this whole rack has got to come forward a little bit. All right. That's the 12. On to the 13. Rather interesting that this box is taped up, the other ones weren't. It makes me think maybe this one's a B stock. It's okay to me. Yeah, looks okay to me. All right. So here we go again. Rinse, repeat, repeat, and repeat. And if you're wondering what heads I use, everything's coated. Everything except the snare side head. But everything is Evans. The bass drums, I use EMAT coateds on the back and then EQ3 resonance on the front. The snare, I got to swap that head out. But I just got a brand new snare too. So I'll show it to you really quick. So there's my new snare. There we go. So this is a Ludwig Supralight 14 by 8. So not your normal 6.5 depth. Probably only a $200 drum, and it sounds like $1,000,000. I mean, granted, that's I'm exaggerating, but it really does sound good. So that's the only drum that I don't have an Evans head on yet. It's still got the stock head, which yeah, fine, but yeah, eventually we'll upgrade that. All right, so for this, I got to get my adjustable wrench in here. Now we do have another kit at this church um, that I want to try to talk the pastor into upgrading and really kind of doing this upgrade. The problem is it's a Mapex, and what I want to do is just get like a universal suspension mount for the toms. The other thing is all the toms are mounted, so it's a fusion kit. So 10, 12, and 14-inch toms, and they're all mounted. So I'm going to recommend that we. I'm going to recommend that if I can find some universal suspension mounts for those toms, because the 12-inch tom some has got some issues going on where it sounds fine, but once you put it on the mount, it just completely loses it loses the sustain of the drums. So I'm going to recommend decoupling the mount and using a suspension mount for it. But like I said, I prefer to find a universal one because then if you can use the existing mounting hardware. So if I were to pull this mount off, it would get like a rims mount or something. I could still use, this mount on the rims mount, provided it works. Because Mapex has their own mounting system, and it would be a pain to completely upgrade all that. Because then you'd have to get some pearl mounts. We would have to swap out the bass drum, the tom mount that's on the bass drum, which I don't want to do. Yeah, it's a kit that needs a bit of TLC. I mean, we already put new top heads on it, but like I said, I think the next couple of things I want to do. So I want to do suspension mounts on the toms, and then I want to change out the bottom heads because believe it or not, bottom heads can make all the difference in the world. Um, I want to say this is like a kit from the '90s. This Mapex kit that I'm talking about. I want to say it's from the '90s, and it probably still has the original bottom heads on it. So I'm really gonna fight for getting those swapped out. All right, there's that plastic for that one. Empty box right over there. All right. So rinse and repeat. We're gonna take these two lugs off. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Evans heads. So bass drums, I use EMAD codeds on the back, EQ3 resonance on the front. That snare, I am probably going to do a G2 coded on it. I might try an HD dry too. You know what I might do is that the stock snare that I have back there, the Pearl. What I might do with that is I might put an HD dry on that one and then put a G2 coated on this one. But yeah, I like, G2 coated on the snare. I think it's a 300 series snare side head that's on the bottom of that. My toms, I use, let me see here, G2 coated on top, G1 coated on the bottom, all the toms. Just seems to give the toms a little more focus. I can still get some sustain out of them, but again, it's how you tune them. It's definitely in how you tune them. It makes a huge difference. All right, so the bottom's attached. Now we're going to go ahead and tune. Good enough for now. All right, flip her over. And we'll get the top on. So my only concern now is this going to work on the 14, because these lugs are going to be spaced out a little more. I'm hoping so. But on the back, it tells you 14.8 tension. So it might not work on that one because that's a 6. Oh well, we'll see. I might have to forego doing the 14, but I'm hoping not. Oh, see, now I'm hoping it's going to fit that one. Not, I might have to MacGyver something. I don't know. Raise the pitch on this one just ever so slightly. See what this one sounds like. we go. That's this one. Oh, forgot to lock this down. That's okay. I got a drum key back here. All right, here we go with the 14. Now, my concern with this one is it was meant to be I got this other size. It was only meant to be used for an 8 lug, 8 tension rod, 14-inch drum. But this is only 6, so I'm hoping that it's not gonna be a complete disaster. Like I said, I might have to MacGyver something. Okay, let's get these off. So once again, these are pretty tight on here. So all I need to do is just kind of quickly loosen them up. In other news, I think Reason 14 was announced. I saw what was going to be included. It's going to be like an overhaul of the sequencer, uh, and like one new device, I think, or a new reverb. I don't know. That feels like it's more of like a 13.5 than a 14, to be honest. But that's just me. Um, doo, 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 doo. Okay. All right, get this off. Could really get a floor tom conversion kit for this and convert it to a floor tom, because most floor toms now are 14 by 12. Well, most like small ones. I don't know. For a floor tom, I like it a little bit bigger than that. All All right, last one. Like I said, hopefully it's gonna. Hopefully this one's gonna work. Nope. No go. Well, I'm gonna have to find a. I'm gonna have to find a tom mount that's gonna work with it. Because obviously this isn't gonna. That's not gonna cut it. Because if I just use one side of it, it's just gonna go. Well, that sucks. So good thing I caught this now. So if you get the Optimounts, they will not work on a 14-inch drum if you've only got 6 lugs. It has to be 8. So now I'm going to have to figure out what kind of mount that I want to use, because I definitely want it on a suspension mount, or I could, position it somewhere else or just not use it altogether, but it does sound good though. Well, let's just see what I have now. So those 3 drums sound good. It's just this one, I might have to just like bite the bullet and either come up with something or just put the regular stock mount back on it, which I might have to do, which I really don't want to do. But I mean, I haven't had any rattling problems though with it. So the other 3 sound good. So I'm going to go ahead and where's my camera here? There we go. There we go. Also, it does a little. There we are. Just going to fix my camera a little bit. All right. So, word to the wise: if you get these Optimounts, they will not work on a 14-inch drum that has 6 tension rods versus the 8. So that's kind of a bummer. So now I've got to either, I'm probably going to wind up just sending this one back. Which, I mean, I hate to have to do, but the other 3 are fine. But yeah, all right. The other 3 sound good, so I'll give it that. They sound a lot better than they did. So I would say if this is an upgrade that you want to do, if you've got an old kit laying around, it will definitely improve, the sound. And if you have problems with like you hit a drum and the rest of your kit rattles, like hardware or whatever, these will definitely take care of that. I can assure you that. I just wish they made them, like I said, a little bit wider so I could use them on a 14 by 12 drum with 6 lugs instead of 8. But oh well, it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to call it a stream. This was a fun little job. Didn't really take that long. How long have I been going? Hour 7. So each drum took maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. It's just the last one, like I said, the 14 was a bit of a struggle, so I'm gonna have to just like, and I'll do it off camera, just put one of these mounts back on it. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a live stream. You know what I might do too? I don't know if it would fit. Even if I want to. No, I don't think I can. Was take this one. Let's see if I could take this one, the mount off of this and stick it on the 14 and see if that works and see if that does anything. It's worth a shot, but all right. I'm going to call it a stream. Thank you all for watching. If you like this stream or anything else on my channel, be sure to subscribe and be sure to click the notification bell. You'll get notified anytime I do a live stream or anytime I release a video. I don't have a regular set schedule, just when I get something interesting in or when I have good Wi-Fi, because that's obviously important. But thank you all for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Take care.